Hey, what's up, guys? I'm just gonna keep it short, the introduction, because the show's gonna be more than an hour. We have two bands. It's from El Paso, Texas. It's a local band. It's called The Deep Shadows. It's a 4-man band: bass, guitarist, singer, and drummer. And also we have another band. It's not a local band. It's from Austin. It's a 2-man band, vocalist and drummer, and they're called Lady StarBeast. We recorded this at the venue Love Buzz. It's a really cool place. You should go and check it out. And well, enjoy it, guys. Hola a todos. La introducción va a ser muy corta porque tenemos un programa de 1 hora. Las dos bandas hacen su música en inglés. Una es del Paso, Texas, se llama The Deep Shadows. Son 4 integrantes: bajo, guitarra, vocal y baterista. Y la otra banda son 2. Es una pareja. Es la vocalista y el baterista, que se llaman Lady StarBeast y son de Austin. Esto fue grabado en la barra que se llama Love Buzz, aquí del Paso, Texas, por el centro, en la zona del centro. Y bueno, espero lo disfruten. Nos vemos hasta el final del programa. We the Kings, Nosotros los Reyes, Music Podcast.
Hiding my secrets, I have buried on me. Crooked beats lurking, shadows beneath the depths of my heart, and each shallow beats. Say I'm an apple broken up branch. Say that I am poison man. Oh, you don't really know. Oh, you couldn't find it, got it easy. Baby, why are you so scared? Is it mine? Am I the way that I stay? Yeah, I was reminded I walk by that way. You act so good, but inside you are red. Say I'm an apple broken up branch. Say I am poison man. No way, no way. Or you couldn't find it, got it easy. Say I'm an apple broken up branch. Say I am poison man. No way, no way. Or you couldn't find it, got it easy. That's so cold. When you're so going nowhere. Said I'm a lot for dangerous, so I saw them. Spit at me, try to rip me apart, but I grew stronger in the dark. Say I'm an apple broken up branch.
StarBeast. We're from Austin. We're on tour right now. This is the first stop on our tour. So we're very happy to be here. Is the sound guy around? Is he here? That's okay. Oh, hey, could I get some more vocals in my monitor, please? Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Okay. Constantly parched. Do you guys like my shirt? I feel like not enough people are talking about it, so just wanted to point it out. It's slave life. Alright, we're Lady StarBeast, we're from Austin, we're so happy to be here. This is Mark's hometown. It's really cool to play for friends and very cool. So, we've got several songs for you. This next one is on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere you can find music, you'll find this song. So, it's called Drenched. waiting at the time. Oh, I know the light you what's up today. Nobody knows you. Going round the wise, you know the way. Inside, day after day. And when that goes to work, I feel pulling away on the same people, yes. So our lady StarBeast, we're so happy to be here at Love Buzz, and it's Star Wars night, except I don't see many people dressed up. I'm a little disappointed, but it's okay. I'm just kidding. You guys are great. We're so happy to be here. Thank you to everyone that helped us come to fruition. Alright, we got, who in here likes Beyonce? Does anybody care, or is this a Beyonce crowd? I don't know. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's weird.
Lemonade, just lemonade.
You got it. Just kidding.
Baby soda with the
Live with
Hello, guys. Here we go again. Welcome to We the Kings podcast, Nosotros, Reyes. And we have Lady StarBeast with us tonight that just played. It's a two-man band, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. For right now, right? Or
For a while.
For a bit, yeah, until we
You
can
know.
get other guys.
Well, we might get like hired guns that aren't officially part of the band, but it's just easier to keep it the two of us.
Yeah.
okay. Your name, please.
I'm Mark, and I play drums, and I produce the music.
I'm Alana, and I sing and I write the songs.
Okay. Thank you. When the project started?
It started about over a year ago. Over a year ago now, maybe a year and a half, we decided we wanted to start doing music together, and that was a big step for us. So she came to me with some musical ideas, and we basically took one idea and just it morphed into what we have now.
A year ago. A year ago?
Yeah, a year ago. We're married. And we've been in other projects before in the past, and we didn't start playing music together till like a year ago. We've been together for 4.5 years, so. But yeah, we'd both been in projects before that didn't quite work out, or like we just didn't have the same goals as the other members, or in band drama and stuff. And then finally, everything was just right, and it's been amazing. Because when you're a two-man team, you don't have like 6 opinions you don't have to compromise the song constantly. It's like we feel like we're really bringing our vision to life for what we want the music to be. It's cool. Like we don't have to compromise in our music. It's really us, and we get to go into this whole world of Lady StarBeast, and it's really cool.
And now that you mentioned the name, where does it come from?
It's kind of a... Okay, so she's a singer in another funk band
I
called...
used to play in a funk band.
They're on a hiatus, but they're pretty cool. They're called Jean-Claude Van Jam, and they each have their stage names. It's a giant funk band with like 8 guys.
And it's
So
space themed.
very outer space themed. So they came to her and they're like, hey, we want you to come up with an identity, a stage name for yourself. So she started toying with some ideas, and then we found out that StarBeast actually was the working title for the movie Alien.
In the 80s.
And we really like that. We were like, damn, StarBeast? Like, we just like the ring to that. So then it was like, she was like, what if I'm just like Lady StarBeast? And then we're just like, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was also like a play on Lady Stardust from David Bowie's song. You know, Lady Stardust sings her songs of sadness and disgrace, and that's like what our songs are. So. But yeah, and then StarBeast means alien, and we feel kind of like weird little outsiders. Like I never fit in growing up, and I've always felt like an alien from another planet here, like observing everyone trying desperately to fit in, but not quite succeeding. But so putting all that emotion into our music. But yeah, Lady StarBeast. That's right.
Nice. And this is a music podcast, so
Cool.
You're gonna talk about your instrument,
Nice.
your history as a musician.
Awesome.
Please.
Well, I started playing guitar when I was 14. That was my primary instrument. I'm 32 now. I've just been going at it a really long time now, playing music in bands and everything. And for this project, since it's just a 2-man band, we thought it would be better if it was like drums and singer and backtracks versus like me playing guitar and backtracks. I thought it'd be kind of like karaoke or lame. So it was like, well, I gotta buckle down and be a drummer now. So basically we invested in a kit. I started playing seriously, taking lessons. I had always played as a teenager, just dabble, play some Nirvana or whatever, and then just like on and off, never consistently until about a year ago, year and a few months now, I've been playing drums seriously.
And your drum set, please. Tell me about your drum set. What kind of drum set it is?
It's a Mapex Mars in Nightwood, just because it's all black, basically matte black. That's why I got it.
And the drumsticks?
Oh yeah, Zildjian drumsticks, Zildjian cymbals, Remo drum heads. I use a Tama Super Cobra kick pedal. I use a mixture of hardware for the drums. But overall, I like to stick with Remo, Zildjian, and I've been super pleased with the Mapex kit. Like honestly, I was blown away by it.
That sounds really nice.
It was
Do you have a mix? Do you mix the sound of the drums with the recordings you have?
There's yeah, it's layered, so there is
okay.
other backtracks happening, so that helps. But that's the thing, like for our production, like we basically just said fuck it, we're going all in, and like we want huge production, we want big vocals, we want big drums, like everything, you know.
But it was like on purpose, the layers
Oh yeah, because
for the sound. Or?
yeah, basically like so we wanted to be able to play in any environment, any situation, as long as you know there's a PA. We want it to be able to come across as awesome, as great as it can. Like we want it to sound full as possible wherever we are, you know. So I figured to get the layered sound would be the best option.
Yeah, but with the, because you say you're a producer, right?
Mm-hmm.
You produce the songs. How do you put those? Like, how do you make the sounds? Like, what kind of instruments are you recording in the computer and then playing?
Well, the first instrument I start out with is always the vocals, and then from there I'll go and I'll sit down and
We
I'll
spend a lot of time. I'm like, here are the lyrics to the song, and here's like all the like different, and also sometimes I'll have songs that I like, and I'll be like, oh, I want like this thing from this song, and like I like, you know, like with Halsey's Control, I was like, oh, I really like the creepy sound, and so we spend a lot of time making sure that the instrumentation matches the lyrics and the vocals, because I think that's really important, and I think that's how all songs should be written. I know I'm biased because I'm a singer, but I think it should revolve around the lyrics and to really make it more cinematic.
Yeah, we've literally gone through like the songs you heard tonight. Some of them have more than one version where it's been like we'll build it up, I'll do the whole thing, and then she's like, it's just not right, and then just boom, just knock it over like Jenga, just
Start
hit
it
it.
over.
And do you guys talk about the sounds?
Oh yeah.
I'll usually
What kind of sounds do you use?
well, personally, I like to take the vocal that she sends me initially. I'll put it in the session in Ableton, which is I use, and then from there I'll literally just prefer to be by myself, to be like kind of just see what I feel to try to match those vibes. Like she's like, oh, I want it to sound creepy, and then I'll kind of just like start sifting through presets of like I use like Native Instruments Massive, bunch of a lot of the Native Instruments synthesizers is like a lot of in our production. But yeah, I just sit there.
He sends me out of the room. I'm not allowed to be in there.
I'll try to.
'cause I just talk.
I try to vibe out. You know, I'm like, all right, I can try to. I don't know. I can talk about this all day, but does it feel right? You know, does it come across the right way? Is it like creepy or whatever the vibe is? Like, you know, it's a lot of time that we put into that.
And then you present the stuff to the music to her, and then she says it's okay.
She'll kind of either be like, she'll be like, oh, it's kind of like this, but a little like this, and then I'll be like, okay, well, how can I do this? And then she's like, well, I think it needs this, or this might be too big, this might be too much for the beginning part of the song or something, and then I'll start with like the intro, the verse, and the chorus usually, and then be like, okay, come check this out, and then she comes in, then she like listens, and then she'll be pretty on. The good thing is about the communication and the honesty, because like
We're really blunt with each other.
I'm not trying to.
There's no.
Yeah, I'm not trying to half-ass it. Like, you know, we're trying to meet the demands. I'm trying to meet her demands, my demands. We have big standards, so you know, it's like trying to kick it up a notch.
Yeah.
Is it hard or?
It can be.
It can be, but you know, all things that are worth it are usually hard.
Yeah. There's times
fun.
when
it's really fun.
As hell. There's times when it's easier than others. Like sometimes the song comes easier than others, and then other times I'm sitting there like for hours, just like ding, pushing a button, and I'm just like, nope, next preset, ding, and I'm just like, oh no, that's not it. And then sometimes it'll take me a week to come up with something. I don't know, but eventually when I have that, I'll be like, hey, check this out, and then she's like, sometimes you can just tell when she really likes it, because she's like, yes, fuck yes.
So the songs are made like in parts, right? In sessions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like-
Yeah. Well, and then so I'll send him like scratch vocals of the song I wrote and the chord progression and stuff, and then he creates the instrumentation. We spend a lot of time doing that, and then he sends it back to me, and I record back vocals for it, and I like to do like it's like a full choir of me in the songs, like. And that
To say the least.
it takes so long. Oh my god, it's crazy.
And can you talk about? I'm sorry. Can you talk about your vocals? Like,
My vocals.
your influences.
Well, growing, when I was like 7, I sang in a play, and my parents were like, oh my god, she needs voice lessons, and they sent me to this voice teacher who like insisted I sing opera. And it was really traumatizing. Like, it sounds so silly, but and we would do these recitals, and when one recital I messed up so bad, it was terrible, and I just like got off stage and sobbed, and then my teacher was like, oh, I don't know, like, oh, and basically there was just some childhood trauma. I didn't sing for like 10 years, but I always loved music. And then when I was 19, it just it hurt too much not to be giving myself to music, and so I got back into it. And like influences, Bishop Briggs is. Do you know Bishop Briggs? She's, oh my god, she's my queen.
Look her up. She's fucking amazing.
Oh my god, she's amazing. Bishop Briggs, Sia, Jen Wigmore, also like Ella Fitzgerald, the classics, Nina Simone. Like, I'm a sucker for that. But I was really, I can sing opera really well, and so I liked it, which I hated when I was like 7. I was like, why the fuck are you making me sing opera, bitch? Am I allowed to swear? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. I was like trying to replace fucks with
Just be you.
okay, cool. Wait, what was I got?
Opera, singing it?
Oh yeah, but I hated it when I was 7, but now it's really become, like, all of the back vocals are pretty operatic, and I think it adds a unique sound. I don't know, I think it's cool. It's like I record like a choir of me, like singing all the different parts and everything.
The lyrics?
What about the lyrics?
Yeah, where they come from?
What are they? Well, my entire life I've really struggled with my mental health. I was really, really a troubled child. And so yeah, that's where the lyrics come from. It's just my way of working through my emotions and whatever mental state I'm in, and kind of, yeah, it's just how I work through stuff and express myself. I don't know, I'm not the best at expressing myself to like a bunch of people. It's hard exposing yourself, but I don't know, when I write a song and people listen to it and I get to sing on a stage in front of people, it's like I'm having a conversation with an entire room of people, and I have really bad social anxiety. And so it's just cool. It's really cool to be able to expose myself and be vulnerable in that way. I never thought I'd be okay with it, but
So it's helping.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so the lyrics are, I try to, I do a lot of introspective work, and I try to reflect that in my lyrics, so.
And you use the pedal, right?
I have a vocal processor. It's a Boss VE20 vocal processor.
And you use it for?
Just for sound effects. I like to kind of change, like add more reverb on one song, or add more like, I like to have different things for each song, and you can't always tell the sound guy that, like, okay, wait, change the levels to this, like between each song. So I have it for that, so I can,
Adjust it on the fly.
adjust it on the fly, yeah. Because I'm really a control freak, and I like to be in control.
Oh, man. Okay, you guys started the tour tonight, right?
Yeah, tonight's we had a tour kickoff in Austin on the 1st, on May 1st, and drove down yesterday, and it's our first night.
Yep, we're here. And what's next? What's next for this project? Finish the tour? How many dates do you have?
Yeah, it's a small one. It's our first one, so I've been in so many bands, and I've never done the booking. Like, I've never done anything that was related to that. So for me to start doing that, it was like, we're a 2-man team now. Like, I got to do that. So we just decided we want to start playing shows. So I started reaching out, and then it was like, okay, well, should we try to book a tour? And then I started reaching out to a bunch of places, and then it was like sometimes was shooting arrows into the dark, no responses, and then finally it started lining up, and then before we knew it, we had all these dates arranged. But we're hanging in El Paso for the rest of the weekend, and then on Tuesday we're driving to Phoenix, Arizona, and then over to Spring Valley, California, San Diego, Los Angeles, and then Riverside is the last date, and then from there head back.
We're actually taking June off from performing, and we're going to focus on finishing our EP. It's going to be a 4 or 5 song EP, and we're hoping to release it by the end of the summer. So yeah, we're taking June off to just only record. It's pretty hard to try to record and perform and do all this stuff at the same time.
Yeah, we record everything out of our house.
Oh yeah, we have we have a studio in our house. We record everything ourselves. And,
Actually, that's the hard thing about gigging and like playing drums is that I'm like, okay, well, I can't just go home and set everything up and record because that takes so long. Like I gotta, we gotta have that time. Like I want to have the drums and mics set up and then go home and just
be able to have it set up for several days instead of like constantly having it's just
taking it down and resetting it up. It's just a lot of time wasted.
Yeah.
Why an EP? You're only gonna record an EP, like 4 songs? Why? Not all. You want to wait for the whole album?
Just this day and age, we don't really.
Albums aren't.
Yeah, we feel like albums aren't really. At least on the level that we're at, like just trying to keep people's attentions. It's like with singles and an EP, and right now we can.
People have no attention spans anymore. It's all about singles. You got to keep checking them out every couple of months to keep people engaged.
Yeah, we're gonna basically release the EP with like 4 or 5 songs, and then after that, we may potentially put those songs on a full length.
Yeah, we'll just continuously be releasing singles, and then eventually it's going to come together as an album. That's pretty common these days. This is what Bishop Briggs does. Yeah. Just got to always keep the momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to reach out later on to like a professional studio to record, or?
So what we do is that we make sure everything's recorded properly and levels are good, everything's sounding good on playback, like even if it takes a few days of doing stuff. And then what we do is we actually send it off to LA to get mixed and mastered. So it's a little hard. I tried mixing it myself, but just being so close to the project, and honestly my skill set isn't in mixing like right now. Like there's other people who could do it way better than me, so you'd rather pay them to do it and make it sound as good as possible.
And what's the future of Lady StarBeast?
We're just trying to become sustainable right now. Like we're working on building fans and all those fan relationships, nurturing that and all stuff. People nowadays want instant gratification. They're like, okay, if I put a song on SoundCloud, it's gonna be found by a producer or a rapper, and I'm gonna get famous. And it's just like there's no longevity in that. We're trying to build fans one by one. That way, it's like we're stacking it up, and then it's not just some little card house where it's eventually just gonna topple over, and we're irrelevant in like 10 years. We want to become a sustainable life force.
Yeah, we really want to create a community around our music. You know, the way that like Fish does, not that I'm not a fan of Fish, but like they have this huge thriving community of people that literally just follow them around all summer, and they're a full brand, they have clothes and jewelry and everything. And so we're really trying to create a community of like-minded people, and to just I felt so alone growing up. I felt so alone, and my goal is to be who I needed to. So every single day I'm talking with people online, and it's, oh my God, social media, it's a blessing and a curse, but it's pretty incredible. Like I talk to all these girls who are just struggling in school and with being bullied, and they feel like they're not, they're doubting their worth, and it's just really incredible that I get to talk to them, and they look up to us, and they love our music, and they think that we like have it made. And I'm like, hey, I know exactly how you feel, and I was there, and I had no idea I could get through it, but you can. And it's really special. We have a small but thriving little community of rejects and misfits, and it's pretty cool.
And how's the local scene over there, your hometown?
It's not good. Austin isn't the most supportive of its musicians because it's so oversaturated.
Because Austin is one of the few capitals of festival.
Yeah.
It's
oversaturated.
It's so saturated that it's hard to. Just because
There's no
music
demand.
going on every night,
There's no
demand for.
musicians.
It's hard to kind of just. People in Austin care about you once you made it somewhere else, and then you come back, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll go to your shows."
Yeah. But yeah, people in Austin are funny. They won't.
But how's the local scene like? They're like,
it's thriving.
They're
Yeah,
supportive, or
to some extent, it's kind of like cliques.
Yeah, there are cliques that support like there's a pop punk scene that's like really thriving, but they only play with each other, and they all go to each other's shows and everything, and that's like, which is what you should do. It's smart. They're annoying, but it's smart.
Well, it's not smart. It's very what do you call it? It's very you're separating each other. I don't think that's the meaning of music. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like closing it off. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
music. It's for everyone. Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
exactly. Yeah.
So I was thinking like over there in Austin, it was more like open-minded people, more supportive. Because here at the local scene, I'm sorry, they're really supportive.
Yeah.
I know there's a few amount of people right now, but it depends on the gig, on the bar. If you go and play on other like lowbrow palace, I don't know if you know it.
oh yeah.
More people there, and also the day of the week too. Today's Friday, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So all those factors depend.
Yeah, but well, I hope Austin gets better because I want to go over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wanna
Yeah.
go there.
Nice.
I mean.
Yeah, it's a
Wait.
great city.
Doing
It's a great
music
city. Yeah.
podcast, you'll be in high demand.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you a musician yourself?
Yeah,
Oh, awesome.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
but I'm doing this right now.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was like, don't ask any more questions.
It's all about you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about you guys. Okay?
Um,
And what else? Merchandise. You have merchandise online or?
We got merch here. We got merch
here.
online.
I thought we had merch online, but then I went and checked, and the store is not connected to our.
Oh, really?
There's some technical difficulties, but
Can you tell us about your social media,
sorry
please?
about it. It's totally fine.
Oh, your social media. Sorry.
Yeah. Right now it's just trying to build the brand and.
No. What's your social media? So.
Yeah, anywhere Lady StarBeast / Lady StarBeast. You can find us at Lady StarBeast, # Lady StarBeast. We're available.
Any
Yeah.
social media?
Except Twitter, really.
Oh,
but
we're not on Twitter.
Snapchat.
Yeah, we have
public one?
Snapchat.
yeah, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook are the main things right now.
Well, guys, anything else? Let me see. Oh, you said you were gonna maybe hire musicians later on.
That's like
It's
years
yeah,
and years
that's
from
years
now.
down the
It's
line, but
bringing more people into it. It's more minds, more opinions,
more schedules to
more
work with.
schedules to work with. Like, we're married, so
It's way easier
it's
just
really
to go.
easy for us.
Before I forget, what's the genre you guys?
We call it dark pop. It's,
Dark pop.
What do you mean by dark pop?
well, it has the songs have like pop structures, but the lyrics and the instrumentation are darker and have like, yeah, it's just darker and creepier and more twisted and but like,
It's not all bubblegums with us.
yeah, it's not all bubblegum. Or is that a saying?
It is now.
Okay, so the next gig is gonna be in Phoenix, right?
Yep. Heading out on Tuesday.
And then?
Yeah, after that we're going to California for 3 shows. 1, 2, 3, 4 shows, yeah. And then just starting out small right now. You know, it was a small victory booking this tour, first of all. But now that it's happened once, I have even more confidence to book another one, you know.
And are you guys in another project?
They're on the back burner. They're not really. Everybody in those other projects that I'm in, they're just kind of. They're all married. They're living their lives. They don't have the same.
Goals.
Yeah, the goals in music. Like our goal is to be, you know, we want to do music. We want to be successful. And my other friends, they're already like married. They have kids and houses and all that stuff. So they're kind of like happy where they are.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lady StarBeast, here. We are the kings. Nosotros Reyes.
Woo! Yeah, baby. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys.
The name of this first track is called The Last Letter. Beats inspired by some hip hop action. Hope you guys like it. There we go. I ran out of chalk to draw another line, another missing mile wasted all that life. Like you know, they touch that soul. Open your blood wound and kill yourself, please. Better for you and me. You won't get out alive. It's no surprise. How much money will I have to owe you? I'll pay you up front. You'll never get it. Forget your name. They will put you through. Who can you blame? You let puppy go, Mother Earth, they what could they do? The darkest things to you. The snake dies, the wind cries. Paint the ceiling twice. Look what they did to you. The color blue. You're gonna die underground alive. Whispering wind cries. Reach up the sky. Paint the ceiling twice. You can't save my soul. Won't you? You can't push me through the other side. I'm lost, can't find the burning floor. Save me, won't you? What are you to do? Save me, won't you? You can't push me through. Thanks, guys. So check it. Before we jump into this track, let me borrow your ears for just 1 second. We're going to be dropping our follow-up EP to one that we released about a year ago. It's titled The D-Sides. Check it out. Be all over the place. We're going to be also putting together a video. We're not putting together a video. We already got a fucking video. And we're going to be doing a show here on the 31st. That's going to be fucking lit. So if you guys can remember that shit, come hit us up. A Deceptive Calm is the name of this next track. He can't hold on, can't control you. I knew that you had gone there before. No more dog friends, can't pursue a clue. I knew that you had gone there before. It's so everybody wish I had The name of this next track is called A Moment of Silence.
This is We Are Kings, Nosotros Reyes.
Forget what is lost, it was never true. Don't take the blame for what's been done, it's not good for you. Forget what you saw, you don't have proof. Go play the game if you know what's good for you. Forget about your peace of mind. Forget what they taught you, get on. Get away if you know what's good for you. And all the time I tried, I've always been denied. Who are you? Where are you? Trying to find what we do. Every little thing they wanna take from me, my body is a different. For your family, the present they will follow me. I'm not the under control. Don't take the blame for what is done, not good for you. Hey, if you know what's good for you. Forget about your peace of mind. Forget what they taught you, get on you. Get name of this next one is called Sleepwalking. Yeah. Thank you guys. That song's actually going to be off of our EP that we're going to be dropping tomorrow. The name of this next song is called Why So Evil. This is actually the song that we're putting out a music video to. This song will also be on the EP. So check that shit out.
Goddamn
Give it up for this guy one more fucking time. He solos like a motherfucking madman. Please. Seriously. Don't be fucking greedy with your shit. So this is gonna be our last tune. It's actually a little different from most of the shit we've been doing tonight. We're gonna be working on a full length after this EP comes out, thank God. And this is kind of a taste of what our newer shit's gonna sound like. The song's called Electromagnetic. And that's it. So we're the Deep Shadows. Check us out, check us out on Instagram, all that good shit. You guys know what to do. You guys are fucking adults, I don't have to tell you what to do, but thank you guys for coming out.
Hey guys, I just heard of Deep Shadows here from El Paso, Texas. And let's introduce the guys. Okay? Introduction.
Hello, my name is Joaquin Aragon, and I play the drums.
Hi, my name is Marco Smith. I play guitar for the Deep Shadows.
Michael Calderon, and I sing for the Deep Shadows.
I'm Stephen Peard. I play the bass for the Deep Shadows.
Thank you guys. I really like the sound. It's like jazzy, pop,
sure,
bluesy.
All
mix.
of that. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, guys. The first question is, where are you guys from?
We're from El Paso, Texas. El Chuco.
Yeah, born and raised in El Paso, Texas, all of us. And all of us have our band and playing music roots in El Paso too. All from the border.
Did you guys grew up together, or how you meet?
to be honest, none of us really grew up together. I knew Steve on bass. We sort of knew of each other because we went to school together, but we didn't really hang out until we started playing music. So,
And how the band started?
so basically, I've played in a few bands around town. I started writing some music. Mike on vocals came in to where I used to work. We started talking a little bit. He said he sings. I said I make music. We started making it happen. Eventually, we called in Joaquin and Steve and made the band happen. So it sort of started as me all depressed, all like making music on my own, like where are these other dudes? And then we got it together, man.
How long ago you guys got together?
5 years ago? A little over 5 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, I mean, it was 5 years ago, but we've been playing for a little over 2 now because when him and I got together, we literally just sat down every Sunday from like 10 to whatever time, and we wrote for a year, and then we rehearsed for a year, and then we started playing.
Can you name the date? The exact?
Name the date? I know it was like in June, like summer, like 5 years ago.
Also, I always like to mention about the origin of our band that I was a fan, a mere fan, just a face in the crowd of Marcos, Mr. Smith over here, of his previous band, and I thought it was really cool that now we're playing together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys come from different bands, huh?
Actually, yeah, all of us do come from different bands. I used to play in a band called Cesar Marquez. We used to play instrumental rock, and Joaquin had seen us play a couple times. I think in San Antonio.
Oh, for sure, more than a couple times. I was like an avid fan.
Yeah.
He was a groupie.
Yeah.
And then I know Mike was in Brain Mantis.
I was in a band called Brain Mantis, and I played in several bands, pop bands, rock bands, and yeah, so.
Steve played in the Army.
Yeah, I'm a classical musician originally, and I've been playing rock my whole life, but I have kind of been doing both things for a while, and then one day Marcos called me and asked if I wanted to play bass, and I told my wife. My wife was just like Joaquin, a big, huge fan of Cesar Marquez. She's like, "You're gonna be in a band with Marcos Smith?" So like every time she's around, I always embarrass her because she's still like a huge fan of his. So.
Also, Steven doesn't like to mention in his Army band, he played pop punk, which was like the best genre, as we all know. And he played the guitar in that pop punk band. Awesome. Yeah.
And he still played orchestra, right?
Yeah, I play the oboe. Yeah.
He plays the oboe and orchestra. That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, when I can.
Okay, so now each of you are gonna tell the story of how you got into music.
Okay.
We'll start with the drummer.
Okay.
All right. Well, how we got into music? Well, I was interested in music, I think, probably when I was like 12 or 13. You know, I always liked to skateboard, and you know, skateboarding kind of goes hand in hand with punk rock. So I got into, you know, some punk stuff, and I wanted to play the drums. But then when I started getting drum lessons, my teacher, he was a big jazz guy in here in town. Shout out to Ricky Malachi. So I started to really, get into jazz, and that's how I started playing.
Can you tell us more about your drum kit, the drums?
My drum kit? Well, my drums, it's actually like what's that guy's name actually? I wish Erie Drums. Shout out to Erie Drums. It's like a custom. It's actually a 80s Ludwig, an 80s era Ludwig set, but it has a custom finish and hardware and stuff. So yeah.
And the drumsticks? What kind of drumsticks do you use?
Oh well, today actually I was using some. There's a brand called Scorpion Drums. Shout out to Scorpion. And I actually give lessons at a place called Let There Be Rock. And these were some Let There Be Rock signature Scorpion drumsticks. So shout out to Scorpion and Let There Be Rock.
And you know the size of them?
I think they're 5As. Yeah, just your, good old 5As.
It's a music podcast, yes, just so you know.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're getting into some shop talk right now.
Yeah.
This is a classical bass drum mallet on his kick drum, right? That big.
It's like a jazzy. Shout out to Vic Firth. It's the. It's like a Vic Firth, like, you know, old. It's trying to emulate like an old school jazz kind of beater for your bass drum.
It does sound. It does sound classic.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, let's go with the guitar. What kind of guitar you play? The style, where you come from?
So I play. I've always been a Strat guy. I've always played Stratocasters. It's like it's an early '90s model. I couldn't tell you exactly the year and that sort of stuff, but I've always been a Strat guy. I like to pretend that I can use pedals and effects, but I really just use reverb and delay and distortion. Lately,
What kind of reverb and distortion? Can you name the brand, please?
So reverb, I play a Holy Grail. Distortion, I play an MXR. And then I just got this this new sustain pedal called the Soul Preacher, and that's been my thing lately. I never used a sustain pedal until recently, and that's definitely the way to go. But I kind of use it as a boost. I kind of use it as distortion, but I also kind of use it for what it's made for. And I've always been a big fan of wall pedals. I wish I could afford an Ernie Ball, and one day I will have an Ernie Ball wall pedal, but I've recently or always have sort of used the Dunlop Crybaby. So yeah. D'Addario strings, size 13.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that fact.
13.
I use those thick strings.
Thick.
Let's go for the vocals then.
What would you like to know?
Where you come from?
Well, I've been singing since I was a kid. Singing actually kind of runs in the family. My dad sings. He kind of got me into singing at an early age. I remember he would play. He had a huge Beatles collection on his reel-to-reel, and he would throw it on like every Sunday and sing. And I remember when my first performance, I was super duper nervous because he had put me on the spot like at a family gathering, and I remember I was doing the highs for him, singing Hotel California as a matter of fact. And from there I just always enjoyed singing, and I started playing with various people in high school, and used to cover songs and all that shit, and just kind of kept with it and have been in bands off and on consistently with the Deep Shadows now for years now.
And your influences, and your pedal, because you use a pedal, right?
Yeah, I do use a pedal. I was thinking about that. It's a vocal processor. I like to have different presets for effects, so it just kind of give a little bit of texture for different songs and stuff. I'm drawing a blank on the fucking brand, but it's a fucking badass pedal. The mic too comes in handy. I sing with a Beta SM58, perfect performance mic. And yeah.
The lyrics, where they come from?
They come from the Orion constellation out in the cosmos. No, I'm just joking. I've always enjoyed like poetry and things like that, and I'm an artist at heart, so everything's there's a lot of substance there. Everything's metaphorically put, but a lot of imagery. You know what I mean?
But you mentioned poetry, but from who?
Well, people like Robert Frost. We have a song that's actually very heavily influenced by Edgar Allan Poe, believe it or not. Song we didn't play tonight, but I'll take bits and pieces from different people. Even lyricists that influence me, to this day.
So the lyrics, they come from your experience?
Personal experiences, like truth be told, a lot of the lyrics, especially in this group, are about life experience, things that I feel about the world, the universe in general. We could probably talk about this shit all night, to be perfectly honest with you, but I really put a lot of heart and soul into what I'm writing about.
Okay, nice. Let's go to the bass.
Okay. Well, I've been playing guitar for like 25 years. And recently, about like the last 5 years or so, people have been asking me to play bass a lot. So that led me to make two really important decisions. First off, what kind of bass I could play, because I'm a little bit of a smaller person. And I didn't want to play a bass that would compromise my guitar playing too much. So I chose this Fender Mustang because it's a shorter scale bass. So the fret positioning is somewhat similar to the guitar, so I can kind of still go back and forth without too much, problematic there. And then the other decision I had to make was, how am I going to learn to play the bass? And so my solution was to listen to as much Flea and Paul McCartney as possible, and just learned as many Chili Peppers and Beatles songs as I could. And I found that gave me like a pretty well-rounded, skill set to play with a number of different groups. So in this group, I've had to really kind of change my skill set a little bit because there's a lot of influences from genres that I'm not as familiar with. Like there's some hip hop influence and R&B influence, and so a lot of times I'm listening to Joaquin because he's a really accomplished jazz musician, and trying to learn from the other musicians to find out exactly where I best fit in, because the bass is it's a difficult instrument to just jump onto. Like playing guitar for so long, it's not just a big dumb guitar. It's a totally different instrument. It's percussion. So it's been a real learning experience for me as a musician as a whole.
And I saw you use an Ampeg.
Yeah, I use the Ampeg, the smaller Ampeg SVT, and playing through a kind of an unusual cab. It's an 18-inch classic 18 by Ampeg, which is kind of a rare thing. I just saw it at Guitar Center one time used and picked it up. So I'm not married to that setup, but that's the best rig for this particular group, and so. I also have some other stuff at home. I actually play a Hofner copy, which is like the McCartney violin bass, and a Hartke amp as well. So I just have you have different rigs for different applications.
And the strings you use?
So that's kind of interesting also, because I was playing a lot of Paul McCartney stuff. I started playing flat wound strings, but I found that I couldn't get enough bass response out of my low E string, so I actually play a round wound string on my low E string, and then the top 3 strings are flat wound, so it's a hybrid. Yeah, I haven't seen anybody else do that yet, so I might trademark that. I don't know.
You haven't tweaked on the settings?
No,
just enough so you don't have to use the round.
Exactly. I don't have to change anything about the way that the guitar is set up or anything like that. I just find the right tension gauge. It's kind of hard with a short scale bass to find the right tension. But just doing a little digging around. I think I'm using DR bass strings, and I think I'm using an Ernie ball for the low E. So
the standard gauge, or?
Yeah, yes. Oh, actually, no, light gauge, because it's a shorter scale, so it's got a little bit less tension on it, so you want lighter gauge strings for that stuff. Yeah.
So thanks for that. Okay, so now we're gonna go to how the band makes the songs.
How the band makes decisions?
No, the songs.
Oh, the songs.
How's the process of?
All right. Well, usually I think the process usually goes. Marcos has some sort of type of idea. He, like Marcos, and Marcos likes to make beats on his laptop. As do I. I'm pretty sure all of us experiment with some sort of, sound technology or whatever. So Marcos comes up with some beats on his laptop or whole songs, and then we pretty much just try to emulate them and put our own spin on them.
And how's that affects the vocals with the sound he produces?
Well, I mean, at first, just to kind of touch on a little bit of history of the writing process, it all was a lot of improvising at first, you know what I mean? Like I had alluded to earlier about us kind of getting together on Sundays, and now we're kind of at the level where he'll come up with an idea. We've also bounced off a couple of ideas, that he's incorporated as well too. But I mean, it's a lot of, remote songwriting. Truth be told, he'll send me something, and then I'll send it back. And we actually, one of the songs, "Moment of Silence," notably that we did tonight, that song was written completely over the internet. You know what I mean? So, why? I mean, because time constraints. We have jobs and stuff like that. You know?
So Mike essentially sent me a drum beat with vocals on it, and I turned it into a song essentially, right? And then we incorporated everybody else to sort of turn it into an actual song. So now it's got a drum solo, it's got a lot of vocal solos in it, sort of thing.
Yeah, so, we come up with for the most part, Marcos has come up with a foundation of the song, and then pretty simple drum beat, and then he just takes it to the next level, just brings the dynamics out of the song as far as the drumming perspective is gone.
Is it making any issues with you guys if you make it separate?
Truth be told, this has probably been the most non-confrontational group that I've been in as far as the songwriting is processed. I don't think we've ever had any kind of single debate. Like we just mesh well. You know what I mean? The planets align. It feels like every time we put a song together. You know what I mean?
And what genre do you classify your songs into?
I would have to say, to put several fingers on it, soulful funk rock. You know what I mean? With different elements, hip hop elements, pop elements, jazzy elements. I mean, all the songs kind of have a different flavor, but it's still one united sound.
But is it thanks to the individuals or to the main idea?
I would say that it kind of it's a product of both, to be truthful.
Yeah, the way that I like to explain it is that we're a rock band that is trying to play funk and soul and hip hop, right? So even though we have those influences, because the foundation is rock, it's still going to sound heavy. So we might play a hip hop beat, based song or a funk based song, but it's going to end up being sort of heavy because of our rock influences,
I also think all these genres that we're talking about, rock, soul, blues, jazz, they're all, connected in some kind of way. And we all, what I mean? They're all, the lineage and the foundation is all kind of from the same place, I like to think.
Music is universal, right?
Right, yeah.
So, just one final question. How do you see the local scene here in El Paso?
El Paso's always been, musically, to me at least, really unique. And I think it's partially because we're an isolated city, but it's always had a scene, though. And it has its ups and downs. I started getting into music in the early 90s, and you had bands like Universal Recovered, you had bands like Airplanes Are Better, you had bands like At the Drive-In, right?
600 Par, you know that band?
Yeah. But then even recently, you've had Cigarettes Under Sex and Part-Time and the Tromanas and Khalid reps El Paso, So it's got these ups and downs, and to me it's just really unique, It's definitely got a sound.
How about the support El Paso brings you?
Say it again?
The support?
El Paso's always been tough
Hit or miss.
for me with support. Like in previous bands that I played in, we'd play shows locally for like 6 years, and it wasn't until after we started touring and that sort of thing, and then coming back to El Paso, that we started to finally get recognized in the city. But it's just. I'm not even trying to say anything negative about this city, but people don't start to pay attention to music until it becomes something, in my opinion, in El Paso, and but that's just part of what makes the music scene what it is too. At the same time,
Yeah, I understand. What's the future for Deep Shadows?
I think the future for us, we want to keep making, dope music. We want to keep putting stuff out there. We want to keep being creative, keep defining our sound. What else? Marcos and Mike.
Definitely keep pushing forward. It's kind of difficult. We're not little kids anymore, so we don't have that much time on our hands, So it's definitely a balancing game. We all have our a lot of things to sort of balance, and we're trying to make it happen the best we can,
So you're gonna. Well, you already recorded the EP, or?
Yeah. So glad you brought that up. So tomorrow, today, we're going to be dropping our second EP. We'll be posting about it later on Instagram. So like I had mentioned earlier, if you're on there, give us a follow. You'll be able to keep tabs on what we're doing. But we're dropping our second EP tomorrow. It's titled The D-Sides. It consists of actually 3 songs that we played tonight. We're going to be playing here at Love Buzz on the 31st to promote that in conjunction with the video that we did for a song that we performed tonight called Why So Evil. And after that, we have plans to put out our first full length. So I'm super duper excited about that. There's already a ton of ideas that have been incorporated and kind of thrown into the pot. I'm sure things are going to change as well too, but like I said earlier, it kind of, with our time constraints, it makes it a little easier that we're able to write via email and via internet, so we can make it happen. You know what I mean?
And you guys recorded here locally, or?
All in El Paso.
Studio? Which studio?
We did record one time out of town at
Bright Light.
Bright Light Studios with Steve Choi from RX Bandits. I mean, so that was a pretty big deal for us. Shout out to RX Bandits. Shout out to Steve Choi. Locally, we've done what's Ross's studio? Brainville. Okay, so we've done Brainville, and we worked a lot with Chris Common.
And you guys are gonna plan on touring, or
It's a long-term goal for sure. But
how long term?
Yeah, it's a long-term goal. Again, we're not that young anymore, and a lot of us have full-time jobs and kids and families, and so it's a little bit hard to balance. But that is a long-term goal of ours.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Deep Shadows.
Thank you.
And well, I'm gonna upload everything to the internet.
Let us know.
I'm gonna sign up to all your social media.
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah, maybe you can make it out to the 31st, man. That should be a pretty solid show.
Yeah, 31st. The next. Oh no, is it?
Get her
Yeah, in 3 weeks.
and it's on a Saturday.
You can get a group photo.
Yeah, please. And just a shout out here. Shout out.
The Deep Shadows.
Deep Shadows.
The Deep Shadow.
Shout out to El Paso. Shout out to everyone making music in El Paso. Shout out to everyone working in music in El Paso. Sound engineers.
I think he said it all.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys rock.
Well, there you have it, guys. Two bands, one from El Paso, one from Austin. Very talented, very friendly, very nice people. And that's gonna be all. Thanks for staying here for more than an hour. It was a long show and long interviews. I thank every single one of you for listening. And if you want your band, or if you know a band you really like from here, El Paso, or Las Cruces, or even Ciudad Juarez, just let me know. Send me an email to franciscomrqz@yahoo.com, or just send me a message through We the Kings Podcast at Facebook. And thank you. Bueno, chicos, gracias por estar aquí todavía escuchando después de una hora. Fue un programa muy largo. La verdad me gustó mucho el show en vivo que hicieron estas dos bandas y las entrevistas. Y les quiero agradecer a las dos bandas porque se portaron muy bien, son muy buenas personas y me gustó mucho cómo salió la entrevista. Si alguno de ustedes quiere escuchar una de sus bandas que les gusta, local, ya sea El Paso, Texas, o Las Cruces, o también Ciudad Juárez, mándeme un correo a franciscomrqz@yahoo.com, o mándeme un mensaje por el Facebook a WeTheKings-NosotrosLosReysMusicPodcast. Ahí pongan un like y comparten. O también vamos a subir el podcast a iVoox, como siempre, ivoox.com. Y muchas gracias por escuchar. Nos vemos a la próxima.